Emma sat at the corner table of the bustling café, clutching a paper cup of water in one hand and a small piece of bread in the other. The smell of roasted coffee and fresh pastries filled the air, making her stomach growl. Around her, customers chatted over lavish breakfasts, plates piled with waffles, omelets, and fruit. She tried to ignore the stares, but whispers carried across the room. "That's all she's ordering. Just bread and water." Someone muttered. Another laughed softly. Emma lowered her eyes to her plate, her cheeks burning. It wasn't that she didn't want more, she simply couldn't afford it. Every coin she had went toward helping her little brother, who was sick at home. Just as she was about to take a bite, the door swung open. A tall man in a perfectly tailored suit stepped in. The room seemed to quiet for a moment. People exchanged glances, they knew exactly who he was. He scanned the café, then walked straight toward her table. Without asking, he pulled out the chair beside her and sat down. Emma froze. She didn't know it yet, but this man was about to change everything. Emma blinked in surprise, unsure why someone like him would sit with her. His watch alone probably cost more than her rent for a year. "Mind if I join you?" he asked with a warm smile, as if he hadn't just walked past half a dozen empty tables. She hesitated. Sure," she said quietly, glancing around. The people who had been whispering earlier were now openly staring, their curiosity growing. He leaned forward slightly. "I'm Daniel," he said, offering his hand. She shook it nervously. "Emma." Daniel's gaze drifted to her simple meal. "Bread and water, that's an interesting choice," he said gently, his tone more curious than judgmental. Her cheeks warmed again. "It's all I need right now," she murmured, avoiding his eyes. He didn't press her. Instead, he waved to the waiter. "Can you bring us the breakfast special? For two. And add some fresh juice." Emma's eyes widened. "You don't have to, I want to," he interrupted softly. "Everyone deserves a good meal." As the waiter walked away, Emma couldn't help but wonder, why was a man like him being so kind to someone like her? The waiter returned quickly, balancing two steaming plates stacked with eggs, toast, fresh fruit, and pancakes drizzled in syrup. A pitcher of orange juice glistened with condensation. Emma stared at the spread in disbelief. It had been months since she'd seen this much food in front of her. Daniel noticed her hesitation. "Go on," he encouraged. "It's for you." She picked up her fork slowly, still unsure if this was real. The first bite of pancake melted in her mouth, and she closed her eyes for a brief moment, savoring it. Daniel smiled. "Better than bread and water?" She laughed quietly. "Much better." For a while, they just ate. Daniel didn't bombard her with questions, he simply sat there, as though keeping her company was the most natural thing in the world. But his eyes, they carried a kind of depth that made her wonder what he saw when he looked at her. Finally, he spoke. "Emma, why were you eating alone, with just that?" She hesitated, the truth weighing on her tongue. "I'm saving everything I can. My brother's sick, and I'm trying to pay for his medicine." Daniel's expression shifted, not to pity, but something else, something resolute. "Emma. I think I can help you." Her fork froze mid-air. She didn't know it yet, but his next words would turn her entire life upside down. Emma set her fork down slowly, her heart thudding. "Help me?" "How?" she asked cautiously. Daniel leaned back in his chair, studying her for a moment before answering. "Let's just say, I'm in a position to make things a lot easier for you and your brother." She narrowed her eyes slightly. "And why would you do that? You don't even know me." A faint smile tugged at his lips. "Maybe I don't know you yet, but I know the kind of person who would choose to go without so someone else can have what they need. That tells me a lot." Emma didn't know how to respond. She wasn't used to strangers noticing her, let alone understanding her. Daniel reached into his suit pocket and pulled out a sleek black business card, sliding it across the table. "Come to this address tomorrow at 10 a.m. Tell the front desk your name, and they'll let you in. I promise, you won't regret it." Emma glanced at the card. The company name printed in silver letters made her breath hitch. It was one of the largest corporations in the city. She looked back up at him, suspicion mixing with a strange flicker of hope. What exactly will I be walking into? Daniel's gaze was steady. An opportunity most people only dream about. The rest of their breakfast passed in a blur. Emma kept glancing at the shiny card on the table, as if it might vanish if she looked away too long. When they finished, Daniel stood and held out his hand. "It was nice meeting you, Emma. I'll see you tomorrow." She shook his hand, still feeling like she was caught in some strange dream. As he walked out, the other customers whispered again, but this time, their eyes followed him with curiosity, and some even looked at her differently. Emma slipped the business card into her pocket and headed home. Her small apartment smelled faintly of soup. Her neighbor had dropped some off earlier for her brother, Luke. "Hey," Luke greeted weakly from the couch. "You eat?" She smiled. "Yeah. And I met someone who might be able to help us." Luke raised an eyebrow. "Help how?" Emma hesitated. "I'm not sure yet. But tomorrow, I'm going to find out." That night, she lay awake, the silver letters of that business card burning in her mind. She didn't know whether to feel excited or terrified, only that something big was about to happen. The next morning, she put on her best clothes, clutched the card tightly, and made her way to the towering glass building downtown. When she stepped through the doors, she had no idea her life was about to change forever. The lobby was breathtaking, marble floors that gleamed like mirrors, towering columns, and a massive chandelier that sparkled above her head. People in sharp suits moved briskly, their eyes fixed on tablets and phones. Emma approached the front desk, feeling small in comparison to the grand space around her. "I'm here to see Mr. Daniel," she said, her voice low. The receptionist looked up, her expression polite but curious. "Your name?" "Emma Carter." The receptionist typed something into her computer, then smiled warmly. "Ah, yes. Mr. Daniel is expecting you. Please, take the elevator to the 30th floor. Someone will meet you there." Emma's pulse quickened as she stepped into the elevator. It shot upward with a quiet hum, and she gripped the railing, her mind racing. What could he possibly want with her? When the doors opened, a tall man in a gray suit was waiting. "Miss Carter? This way, please." He led her down a hallway lined with floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the entire city. At the end of the hall was a set of double doors, which swung open to reveal an office so luxurious it felt unreal, polished wood, leather chairs, and a view that stretched for miles. Daniel was standing by the window, his hands in his pockets. He turned when she entered, smiling as if they were old friends. "Emma," he said warmly. "I'm glad you came." She swallowed hard. "You said you had an opportunity?" Daniel gestured for her to sit. "Yes. But first, I need to tell you something about who I am, and why I chose you." Emma sat down slowly, her hands clasped in her lap. Daniel took a seat across from her, his expression calm but deliberate. "I'm not just the owner of this company," he began. "I've built businesses for years, and I've met thousands of people along the way. But very few make an impression on me the way you did yesterday." Emma tilted her head slightly. "All I did was sit in a café with bread and water." "That's exactly it," Daniel replied. "In a world where people pretend to be more than they are, you weren't afraid to be honest about your circumstances. You put someone else, your brother, ahead of yourself. That's rare, Emma." She blinked, unsure what to say. Daniel leaned forward, his voice steady. "I want to offer you a job here. Not just any job, one where you can learn, grow, and earn enough to never worry about bills or medicine again." Her eyes widened. A job? Doing what? You'll start as my personal assistant, he said. It's demanding, but it comes with a salary and benefits that will change your life. If you do well, I'll mentor you personally. You'll have a future here. Emma's heart pounded. It sounded too good to be true. Why me? She asked again, softer this time. Daniel's gaze didn't waver. Because you've already shown me something no resume ever could, you have integrity. Emma sat in stunned silence, feeling the weight of his words settle over her. Emma's mind spun. A day ago, she had been sitting in a café, hoping no one noticed her modest meal. Now, she was being offered a position that could rewrite her entire future. She took a deep breath. I don't know what to say. Daniel smiled. Say yes. The rest, we'll figure out together. Her instincts told her to be cautious, but there was something about the way he spoke, steady, confident, without a hint of pressure, that made her want to trust him. Okay, she said finally. Yes. Daniel's expression brightened. Good. You'll start Monday. We'll take care of all the paperwork today, and I'll have an advance sent to your account so you can get your brother whatever he needs. Emma's breath caught. You don't have to, I want to, he said, echoing the same words he'd used in the café. They spent the next hour going over details, her schedule, responsibilities, and a tour of the building. Everywhere they walked, employees glanced at her with a mix of curiosity and respect, clearly aware of Daniel's personal involvement. By the time she left the office, her hands were trembling, but not from fear. For the first time in years, she felt the weight on her shoulders begin to lift. As she stepped out into the busy city streets, clutching her new ID badge, she realized her life had taken a turn she never could have imagined. When Emma returned home, Luke was dozing on the couch, a blanket pulled up to his chin. She knelt beside him and gently shook his shoulder. Hey, she said softly. He blinked awake. You're back. How did it go? Emma smiled, holding up the shiny ID badge. I got the job. And not just any job, this could change everything for us. Luke's eyes lit up, though his voice was still weak. Really? That's amazing, Emma. She nodded. Daniel's even sending money ahead so we can get your medicine today. Luke looked at her for a moment, a faint smile tugging at his lips. You deserve this. You've been taking care of me for so long, maybe now someone's finally taking care of you. Her throat tightened at his words. She quickly busied herself in the kitchen, pulling out a notepad to list the things they could finally afford: medicine, healthy food, maybe even new clothes for Luke. As the afternoon sun poured in through the window, Emma felt a strange mix of relief and disbelief. Just yesterday, she had been invisible to the world. Now, thanks to one unexpected act of kindness, her path forward was clearer than it had ever been. What she didn't know was that Daniel's interest in her wasn't just about a job, he had a plan for her future that went far beyond anything she imagined. The following Monday, Emma walked into the towering glass building with her head held higher than before. Her new suit, a gift from Daniel's assistant, fit perfectly, and for once, she didn't feel out of place among the bustling professionals. Daniel greeted her personally in the lobby. Ready for your first day? She nodded. More than ready. He led her to her new desk just outside his office, sleek and modern, with a computer that looked brand new. You'll be handling my schedule, organizing meetings, and keeping things running smoothly. But most importantly, you'll learn about business, leadership, and the way decisions shape everything we do. Emma absorbed every word, determined to prove herself. As the day unfolded, she found herself fielding phone calls, coordinating with department heads, and even sitting in on a high-stakes meeting. During lunch, Daniel stopped by her desk. You're picking this up fast, he said. I knew I made the right choice. She smiled, feeling a quiet pride. For the first time in a long time, she believed she was capable of more than just getting by. That evening, when she returned home, Luke was already looking better, his new medication sitting neatly on the counter. "First day go well?" he asked. Emma grinned. "Better than I could have imagined." Neither of them knew it yet, but this job was just the beginning of a chain of events that would bring challenges, tests of loyalty, and decisions that could alter both their lives forever. Weeks passed, and Emma's confidence grew. She learned to anticipate Daniel's needs before he even voiced them, handled complex schedules without a hitch, and gained the quiet respect of the entire staff. But one afternoon, as she was sorting through Daniel's correspondence, she noticed a sealed envelope marked confidential with her name written in bold letters. Her pulse quickened. She hesitated, wondering if she should open it immediately or wait for Daniel to give it to her himself. Before she could decide, Daniel appeared at her desk. "Ah, you found it," he said with a small smile. "Go ahead, open it." Emma carefully tore the seal and unfolded the crisp paper inside. Her eyes scanned the text, and her breath caught. It wasn't just a letter, it was an offer. Inside was a formal proposal to sponsor her education at one of the most prestigious business schools in the country, all expenses paid. Along with it was a personal note from Daniel: "Emma, I believe in your potential. This isn't charity, it's an investment. I know you'll make something extraordinary of it." She looked up, stunned. "Daniel, this is too much." He shook his head. "No, it's exactly right. You have the drive, the heart, and the intelligence. All you need is the training. And I want to make sure you get it." Emma felt a lump rise in her throat. I don't know how to thank you." "You already have," Daniel replied. "By showing me that integrity still exists in this world." But even as gratitude flooded her chest, Emma had no idea that accepting this opportunity would place her in the middle of a high-stakes corporate storm, one that could test everything she had learned so far. Emma accepted the offer without hesitation. Within weeks, she was enrolled in the business program, balancing her studies with part-time work at Daniel's company. The schedule was grueling, but she attacked every challenge with the same quiet determination that had caught Daniel's attention in the first place. Her professors praised her insight, classmates gravitated toward her leadership, and soon she was topping her class. Every evening, she returned home to Luke, who was growing healthier by the day. The medication, good food, and a sense of stability had brought the color back to his cheeks. But just as everything seemed perfect, a storm hit. One of Daniel's competitors tried to sabotage a major deal, spreading false rumors about his company. The crisis sent shockwaves through the office. Daniel called Emma into his office late one evening. "I need you on this," he said gravely. "You know how I work, you know who I trust, and I believe you can help me pull us through." For the next 2 weeks, Emma worked alongside him day and night, digging through records, exposing the lies, and gathering evidence that ultimately cleared the company's name. When the dust settled, the deal went through, the company's reputation soared, and Daniel stood before the entire staff in the grand conference room. "I've met many talented people," he said, "but few with the courage, loyalty, and honesty of Emma Carter. She didn't just save this deal, she proved she's ready for far more." To her shock, he announced her promotion to Director of Strategic Operations, a role that came with influence, a salary beyond her dreams, and a seat at the decision-making table. As the room erupted in applause, Emma's eyes met Daniel's. She realized he hadn't just changed her life with a meal in a café, he had believed in her before she believed in herself. And now, she was living a future she had once thought was impossible.